So, hey guys, thank you for joining me on Ascending with Tip Talks 22. Of course, this is Tiff. Tiffany is my name. But I am going to talk to you guys today. Ultimately, well, I don't want to tell you ultimately. Just stay tuned. I feel like, I don't want to give none of that. So anyway, let me just tell you how this started. So in prefacing this episode, I shared a post first thing this morning because I usually share something, every morning that I at least feel called to do so. But in the caption, I reference having had a great weekend, but so when there's a quote-unquote but, something shifted, right? So I guess that's because it essentially did shift for me. Anyway, me and the boys, what had happened over the weekend? Me and my sons, Saturday was kind of because my youngest son and I, we kind of had a disagreement. But Sunday, it was just going to be me and the two of them kind of hanging out, throughout the day, which is what we did. So that was awesome. That was a good time. I really, enjoy being with my boys. So that was good, right? The youngest son, his papa's birthday is coming up. Well, it's today, actually. So he was needing to go back home to, to be there for those festivities or whatever. So we ended up grabbing a bite to eat ourselves on the way to the house, right? We kind of hung out all day, been in the streets and whatnot. And so we go to this place. I won't say the name of this place because, ain't nothing free. And, it's an awesome place, too. I've mentioned them before on my timeline, but whatever. That ain't what this is. So we go to this place. It's really a small spot, the one that we went to. And so we went ahead and placed our order or whatever. And while we're sitting waiting, this huge group of people, it was a baseball team of young boys. It was their parents, their grandparents, the coaches, uncles, aunties, everybody. Like, it was a lot of people stormed this place, y'all. And I say stormed because it really was a lot of friggin' people. And I really do not do crowds. Especially with it was kind of an emotional day on Saturday. So especially, and of course, the moon was in Scorpio over those couple of days. So, and I am a person whose emotional cycle is directly connected to the moon. So, we'll just leave that there. So, I don't know. It was a lot of freaking people in there on Sunday. And so, it was fine. Like, we're waiting on our food so we can go anyhow. But they were like short-staffed. That wasn't really an issue. But when I looked up and it's like, okay, you're still taking all these people's orders. Here it has been 30 minutes and we still don't have our food. And you got the nerve to be passing them some of their stuff. Hold up. I had to say a little something. Because, man, we've been here. It's 30 minutes now. Where's our food? She looked right behind her and said, oh, there it is. I'll bag it up for you. Really? So I had to remind you. So that was annoying, but is what it is. We get our food and go home, but I could feel that my energy had shifted, I could feel it had shifted just from being in that space, Anyway, so I ended up dropping the kid off. Well, we had like an hour or so to eat. He passed out, so he was extremely tired really quickly. Had to wake him up so I could take him home to his dad's or whatever. And Gabe decided he wanted to ride with me to do that at the last minute. So that was cool. So we go and drop Bubba off. And on our way back, Gabe and I were going to ride around just a little bit. But I kept looking over and he was dead asleep, like knocked out. And I'm like, that's how I feel too, son. I wasn't sleepy. but I didn't want to be out. So it's like, okay, we'll just go home. He's like, yeah, that's a great idea. So that's what we did, right? So when we get home, I'm like, I know you about to take a nap. He said, no, I'm good. That's because he had slept that whole way. I kept having to nudge him. Parents, you know, when your kids go to sleep in the front seat and they keep leaning over on you, like, sit your ass up. Anyway, yeah, so that's how I ride it being. So by the time we actually got home, he was good to go. Me, on the other hand, was still feeling like drained. So I go to my room, and I'm just kind of laying around. And I'm thinking, I kept saying, okay, I really need to meditate, because I don't feel like, did I do it that morning? I don't know. I was at the lake, but I don't feel like I actually took a minute to, like, seriously meditate. Like to have a moment with God, right? I don't feel like I did that. So I was like, I need to meditate. I need to post a reading. I need to record my podcast. But the crazy part is, I just didn't want to do any of it, okay? I didn't want to do nothing. One, I don't like to do those things if I haven't meditated, if I haven't connected to my higher self, if I haven't connected to my spirit guides, if I haven't prayed about something, or God hasn't put something on my heart to share. I don't like to record a podcast, so I haven't done that as of yet. And when my energy is bad, I don't want to do readings, right? So I didn't feel like doing any of those things. And then I needed to meditate, but I was so like anxious, I couldn't even calm myself long enough to meditate, y'all. It was so weird. So I ended up doing what? Laying around, playing a game on my phone, other distractions. You know, when you have something you need to do and you just keep doing silly shit to distract yourself. That's basically what I was doing, okay? So the TV was on, but it was kind of watching me. And so, yeah. Sometimes, though, when my spirit guides need to get a message to me, y'all, and it's so weird because, like I said, I wasn't sleepy. I didn't even want to go to sleep. Like, that's the energy that I was in. It was complete anxiety, complete restlessness, but complete immobilization, right? So when my spirit guides really want to get a message to me or something like that, it'll just be like, boom, out of the blue, I get so sleepy and I just have to close my eyes. So, like, that's literally happened to me before, where I'm like driving, and you know, Dallas is big, but it ain't that big. It don't take you that long to get from A to B, you know, for the most part. But it's been times where it's like I'm on my way home and like, no, I feel like I'm gonna crash into something if I keep driving, where I'll pull over at a park and sleep. You know, it's so weird. But then I wake up and it's something mystical has occurred, like some type of dream. So I went to sleep. I don't even remember what time it was, like 8 o'clock, I guess. I just passed out, not even went to sleep, passed out. And when I woke up, it was 11, but I had slept so hard and my dream had felt so real and so vivid that I felt like it was morning time. Like, I literally woke up like, oh, I need to get up so I can go walking. But I looked at the clock like, what? It's only 11:15, 11:30, something like that. And so then it occurred to me that, wow, that vivid ass dream you just had was not even real life. So then, of course, I had to go and start trying to decode the message, the meaning of my dream. And because it was kind of a personal thing, I really won't share the details of it. But in understanding the dream, it basically said that I needed to connect to God. I needed to connect to Source. That things felt restless for me, or I felt like I was in a state of confusion and disorder because I was not taking the time to connect to God. So that is what this podcast is about today. Because in the spiritual community, right, a lot of people too, I've heard certain tarot readers say, you know, I know the word God is a trigger for some people. First of all, I will never apologize for using the word God. Now, We can call God the divine. We can call God the Most High. We can call God Source. We can call him God. You know what I mean? And I say him, even though I know, everybody doesn't believe it's a him. I don't believe it's a physical body like the man walking around this earth. It ain't nothing like that. God is most definitely an energy. But I say him because it's like the easiest pronoun. It's the most common pronoun, right? Kind of like in the Spanish language, you have an article that goes with the word, if it's a masculine or feminine word, el or la. And our tendency is to say el, even if the word is a feminine word. So anyway, that's what we're going to do today. God, him. Okay. I do hope that does not trigger you, but if it does, it is what it is. Go ahead and click off. But yeah, so this was basically my dream. And so I'm sitting there thinking, like, I meditate almost every day, except the days where I'm feeling so anxious like that, where I can't do it. So why? I meditate on those days, right? I most definitely feel like I'm channeling all day throughout the day, but that's because I am in constant contact with my spirit guides, with the angels, right? That's another reason for needing to ground yourself and ground your energy, especially if you are like me, a light worker or whatever, and you kind of do that or tend to do that all day. And so that's the message that I got in decoding and understanding this vivid dream. And first of all, I was relieved to see that, okay, it wasn't like an actual thing. It wasn't an actual situation. It wasn't an actual preview, but, yeah, so that's the message that I got. And so then I had to sit and think about it, because in the spiritual community, I feel like, and I know I'm not the only one, I feel like we think that because we are connected to the angelic realm the way that we are, we don't have a need, or we just don't take the time to specifically speak to God, to the divine, to the Most High, right? So then I was like, you know what? Yes, I need to do that. So I had to take a moment, not a moment, honey. I ended up talking to God, just praying for about a good hour. You know what I mean? First of all, I had to start with an apology, but I feel like it's probably something that is more common than not. So all the things that I'm stressing about, all the things that I'm worrying about, that energy can be transmuted by just connecting to the source. I don't even want to say source. I want to say the source. Because even in all these different religions and in our spiritual beliefs and whatnot, if you don't subscribe to a religion, there's still a difference in being connected to the source, to the one. Ooh, child. Goosebumps. And I don't want to get emotional, but my connection to God is an emotional thing for me, because it's such a powerful thing. So then I had to apologize. Goosies. Then I had to apologize because it's like my head has been so in the clouds. I felt like God was saying to me, what about me, Tiffany? Have you forgotten about me? And I felt like such an ass. For one, let me just say it truthfully. I felt like such an ass, even though I know that that is not the feeling that he wants me to feel. God understands, that we are human. And of course, even when we are hard on ourselves, he is faithful and forgiving. And so I didn't want to feel like that. I had to release that feeling and forgive my dang self for sure, because I knew that God had forgiven me. But I just really had to have a long talk with God, because for me, it's kind of like a hierarchy, the angels, and for you religious people, the Holy Spirit, who is who is in most religions taught that is with you always, everywhere you are, everywhere you go, you have access to the Holy Spirit, etc. That connection does not negate your need to connect to the source, the one who controls all of the universe, who controls all of the angels, who controls all of the spirits. It's kind of like going to a middleman. So I think that we tend to be so spiritual, or attempting to live in such a spiritual way, where we kind of not turn away from religion. I don't want to say it like that. We choose to not focus. We choose to not live our lives like where we are in the controlled environment of religious indoctrination, that we forget that our connection to God is still super important. God is the one, for me, I believe, that blesses you with these gifts. He, source, the divine, whatever article or pronoun you want to give them, is the one that has allowed your gifts. So there still is a certain amount of sovereignty that goes with that. So there's still a connection that you have to prioritize. Y'all, I talked to God for about an hour this morning. It was last night. It started last night, but I woke up this morning in a different headspace. So yeah, I did it this morning too, honey. Like, I'm going to get myself back together. But like, I think really this morning, where I was really thinking about all of this stuff more deeply, because I ended up going back to bed last night. But I was like, yeah, there's a difference. You can still be spiritual. You can still use and utilize your spiritual gifts. But at the end of the day, you still have to honor and respect your connection to source. And it's like, how do you do that? You do that through prayer. The things that you are concerned about, talk to God about those things. And that burden is removed. If you don't have the desire to do that, or if maybe you feel like me, like, oh, I just won't bother God with that. First of all, God is never bothered. Whew. God is never bothered by his children wanting to talk to him, wanting to communicate with him. That's an amazing, amazing, amazing feeling. Goosebumps. He said, tell the kids, Tiff. That's right. Goosebumps, goosebumps. God is never bothered by that. And that's a headspace that I need to get out of, thinking, that I don't want to, my problems are unimportant, or the things that concern me are unimportant. Source is so concerned with you and with us as individuals, and with our spirituality and our walk on this planet. He's so concerned about us. But just because you have a connection that is spiritual to the angelic realm, it doesn't negate the need for you to still connect and to stay connected. And how do you stay connected? Just like the way you foster any other relationship. You have to communicate. You have to be open to the exchange, right? And I've said this frequently. Meditation is when you listen for God, right? But prayer is when you talk to God. The meditation is the listening. So it's like I was doing a lot of listening. Even as I think about it, recently, I feel like I had not been getting a lot of divine response, for lack of a better way to say it. I feel like I hadn't been getting a lot of divine response. And after I had my long prayer session this morning, y'all, when I tell you these animals just started speaking. And I know that sounds weird if you don't understand it. You know, it is what it is. But if you've listened to any of my podcasts, or you follow me on social media, you know how connected I am to the animal kingdom. How I see signs and symbols in everything. How I ask the divine, I ask my angels for certain information, and they send these answers in this way. But y'all, it was so quiet this morning. I ended up coming to the lake. It was so quiet this morning. I'm talking to God, praying, literally talking out loud, just like I'm talking to you guys. And I mean, the birds just started to sing and to communicate. And I was like, okay, they were not doing that before at all. But I felt like it was in response to a chain of communication, a line of communication being open that hadn't been opened in a few days, because I was doing that. I was forgetting to pray. So basically that's what the podcast is about today. You can be so spiritual. You can call God the Most High. You can call God Source, the Source. I don't even like saying Source, the Source, because that the is confirmation that it's the one, the Source. You can call God the Divine, whatever it is you choose to call God. Just make sure you stay connected. You still have to have that connection. No matter how close you and your angel guides are, how close you and your ancestors are, how close you and your spirit guides are, God is the ruler of them as well. You get what I'm saying? So, not why go to the workers, but when you can go to the boss and you do have that connection to God, why not foster that? Why not maintain that? And so when I tell you, after I had this peaceful conversation and I feel like my connection was restored, like everything that I had been worrying about just disappeared. It didn't disappear in a way that everything just is worked out magically. That is not what happened. It disappeared in a way that I'm not concerned about things, because I gave it to God. Does that make sense? I'm not stressing over things. I don't feel anxiety. I don't feel like I can't sit and rest. I don't feel like I have to be doing something. I don't feel like if I needed to sit still for 5 or 10 minutes, that I can't do that without shutting out the world. Like all of that confusion, that what should I do, that what can I create, all of that went away. I literally felt lighter after my prayer. So that's what this podcast episode is about today. What about God? Don't forget about that connection. Aside from the connection that you have here on earth with yourself, with your higher self, with you, your connection to the Most High is probably, no, it is. It's the most important connection you could ever foster and maintain. So don't be like Tiffany and forget to pray. Don't be so spiritual. Don't be so anti-religion that you forget to pray to God. It's super important. It's a major part, or it should be a major part of your spirituality, of your spiritual life. Yeah. So I just wanted to encourage somebody to do that. If you feel stuck, If you feel like a creative block, if you feel concerned about things that probably are not very concerning, if you feel like you can't focus, if you feel like you can't sit still, but you just want to lay down, if you feel like you need to go, but you just want to lay down, yeah, ask yourself that question. When is the last time that I took a minute to just pray? Just pray. Now, I had started writing this episode out, but you know me, I'm a talker. So I stopped writing it out. So my mic is not hooked up. So now I'm going to have to listen to this thing back to see if everything recorded the way that it should have. I hope it did. I hope you guys could hear me or can hear me nice and clearly. I was going to say join me for the next episode, but definitely do that. I was going to say I have no idea what it is about. I do, because I said previously that I was going to talk about the money mindset and the abundance mindset. And I haven't done that yet because I don't want to half-ass nothing, right? So I feel like there are still some things for me to research about that. There is still an understanding that I need to gain before I can share it with you guys. So whenever I am guided to do that and share that information with you guys, I will do that. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be the next episode, okay? Anyway, if you stayed this long, know how appreciative I am for your presence and your listening, okay? Man, every time I do a podcast, I end up sounding all nasally because I done got teary-eyed or something and didn't stop recording to blow my nose. Oh, it's the little things. Anyway, I hope you guys are vibing high. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Speak to you really, really, really soon. Love you.